What's good, y'all, man? Welcome back to another episode of Radiant Thoughts. I am your host, KP, and today we're going to be discussing creating a positive change in the community. So tap in with me, stick around for the whole episode, man, where we're going to discuss the impact of a community, why is it important to have a community, and why is it so important to have a positive community and a positive effect on the community. So I wanted to start this episode out with a quote. Well, it's a line from a Jay-Z song, Legacy, where he says, "My parents ain't have shit, so that shift started with me." And how that relates to this particular episode, in my opinion, is so often in our communities, we come from nothing, generations of not having nothing. And so when one person decides to make that switch, it could be a tremendous effect for the rest of the generations to come. Especially in, if you know Jay-Z, that was true for him. He ain't his parents or anything didn't have nothing. And now he became a billionaire. And now his lineage after him would benefit off of what he did. And so a lot of us come from those same scenarios, same backgrounds, same struggles, and we could also make that shift start with us. And how it ties in as a community, we're stronger together. So if we have 5 people that ain't came from nothing, and those 5 people come together and create something, that's a major shift as opposed to one person. So I felt like that was real profound, and I wanted to start off with that because it starts with one person, but when it spreads to a community, it's way more impactful, and that's why I want to talk about the importance of a community. It is extremely important to have a community of people with you. I was always told that it takes a village to raise a child. And I was lucky enough to have a village of people around me to help raise me and my siblings. Therefore, it shows how the importance of a community is, it can either, a community can build up and it can damage. But the right communities can help build and push whomever to new heights. But it also can, on the flip side, tear down. So I would say the importance of a community is big. Being involved in a community or having a community around affects an individual because you have so many different resources and people to pull from, or you're surrounded by a group of like-minded individuals that will help you in whatever way that you may need, that will support you in whatever way you may need. So as an individual, it's great to have other people that, are possibly in your field or are doing things that you want to do, that you can pull from their intelligence and go create on your own. But that ultimately strengthens the community, because now you might go out and relay the information that you found and pull other people into the community, which makes it stronger. We hear strength in numbers a lot, and that's what a community is strength in the numbers, having more than one person to associate with. And as a collective well-being, it pushes it could push economies. It could make a city stronger. It could make a state stronger, just having a community of people moving a certain way. That's how lobbyists groups get stuff done. You know, they have a community of people that agree on one sort of thing, and they pull all their resources together and they go get whatever they need done. And that's the strength of what a community could bring. So that having those connections and support behind you just makes you want to go even harder. Sometimes it may, when you're feeling down or slacking, you got people around you that are gonna make sure you're right or get you together. So I feel like that's definitely some of the main importance of a community. It also allows you to have that just that connection of support and string of like networks. And you hear a lot that your network is your net worth, and just by knowing certain people, you will be able to get in certain positions, and certain doors will open for you that probably would not open otherwise. And I feel like it's essential to have the right people at your side, or you can call them whenever for whatever you may need, and that's why community is extremely important. So without having that community dynamic, it can cause for struggles for individuals or collectives. There has to be ways to try to find and assess the needs of a community. A method that I would have for assessing a community needs and identifying just the areas that may need change is just finding a problem or noticing a problem and creating a solution for it. That can be a start. So if you notice that there's no fresh crops or fresh, fruits and vegetables, and there's a lack of groceries or, things of that nature, if a group of people take it upon themselves to start a farm or just in the community, certain things like that, that's a way to identify the needs as well as meet it with a solution. I feel like that's a start, and then on bigger levels, you take it and more people get involved, and there become more, fresh, organic food areas in your neighborhoods, and you go from neighborhoods to the whole city to, and that's how you build upon it and create it to something much bigger by starting with a small set of people and building a community from it. It really hits home when you have like a personal connection with the change that needs to happen. So when you're affected firsthand, you're more likely to get involved and provoke change around you or in the community. And with like the Jay-Z, line that I came up with, not that I came up with, that he came up with, he was affected personally by his circumstances. And a lot of us are affected personally, firsthand by these circumstances. And instead of taking that energy and putting it into changing, we put it into other areas that don't help. Like, we rather complain about what is not getting done or fixed instead of putting in work to fix it. Like, one of my favorite lines is to be the change that I want to see. That's one reason why I started this podcast. So with that being said, when we're affected personal, you have a personal connection to something, I feel like it is your duty to be that change that you want to see, instead of going complaining about it or going and talking about it to, people that don't have any influence on what could change the situation. You have to go be that change. Be the one to start the community group chats, or the groups that, clean the neighborhood, the beautification groups or things of that nature. It's important because you feel that that's something that's near and dear to you because you witness it every day. So instead of just witnessing it and not doing anything about it, when you witness it and do something about it, you're identifying an area that needs change as well as meeting it with a solution. Now, there can be different ways of going about, building a community or creating a positive impact on your community. You have like grassroots initiatives or just like community driven like groups, neighborhood watches or different meetups. Like I mentioned, the beautification. You have people that walk, clean up parks every morning. It's kind of like creating different strategies to change, for a positive change in the communities. So things like just collaboration, when we come together, a group of people come together and want change, and now we're going to city hall meetings and we're discussing what we want to see or demanding things that we want to see changed, as well as going out there and putting in those hours of the work to change the community. Those collaborations or partnerships with certain people help build the community because it's bringing more people to your community and more people are seeing what you're doing. Therefore, more people are likely to share it or do it themselves. We live in a social media world to where one video could, blow everything up. So if one person sees something in a state across the country and one person likes it and they're like, oh, I like this, and they share it to their friends and then their friends share it to their friends, and now they want to create a whole group of people that are gonna beautify the neighborhood, and now more people in their city are seeing them beautify the neighborhood, and it becomes a collective group of people that go in different neighborhoods, and now you're expanding and you're collaborating with a multitude of different people, and then that can bring partnerships from maybe even potentially big brands, or not even big brands though, just partnerships with people in your city, partnerships with city hall, or like the soup kitchen or something, like things like that would actually help benefit the people around you in your community. There's a lot of benefits that can happen locally. So like when you buy from your local farmers, that goes back into your community, or when you buy from the people that's within the neighborhood at the mom and pop stores, that builds a community. That's why a lot of small towns are very close knit, because there's no big corporations in a lot of those like smaller cities sometimes, or smaller towns, and everybody shop with each other. They still have their butchers, they still have their neighborhood, food markets. There's no Walmarts, there's no Family Dollars, there's no anything of that nature. Everybody shops with each other, and they keep that within, that's how you build wealth within your specific community. And there's this saying, with the black community, we have $1.3 trillion in spending power, and I believe only 1% is spent in the black community. So when you think of things like that, it's hard for us to build up our own community if we don't spend with each other, if we don't support each other, if we don't shop locally, or like things of that nature. But instead go support big brands and not build essentially tear our community down in a way that's not necessarily good for the promotion of our communities. So now I want to talk about the impact that a positive community change could have on just people, actual, things that I saw growing up. We had programs like 21st Century. We had Civitan centers. We had the YMCA had programs. We had Boys and Girls Club. And I'm pretty sure it's a plethora of other different organizations that's not coming to mind currently. But we had those type of programs growing up that I seen and that I was a part of. And it helped. I would say it helped me. It helped a lot of the kids in my age group, I would say. But we had things to do. We had things to see, whether it was sports, whether it was learning different games, learning how to play chess, or like things of that nature. Just giving kids the opportunity to see more and do more than what we would see outside, giving us more exposure to different ideas or different, just different things that could pique our interests. I would say I don't see a lot of those now. I don't see many organizations or groups that are taking kids and doing, things with it. And I believe that's one of the issues within our community, because we got to be able to get the youth to see more than what they're seeing. If the youth aren't showed anything outside of sports or rap or gang violence or like things of that nature, then they won't gravitate towards anything else. And I feel like a lot of kids, even though some kids still succumb to, the negatives, we were shown the positives a lot of times. A lot of kids my age, I would say, we had different, like, even sports groups that we had, AAU groups or, teams, or just, it was more than just basketball. We were getting taught like life lessons. And I feel like there's a lack of that happening inside the community. And we complain a lot about all these kids nowadays. They don't do this, or they don't do that. But we don't take the time out to go show them certain things or go do certain things with them. We just expect them to know, like, okay, well, I did this back then. This is what we were doing as kids. These kids are whatever because they just sit in the house all day. They don't do anything. They don't know anything other than that. So you have to show them and prove why it's necessary. You have to show and prove. And, I believe those things started to dwindle down as I got older. We start getting kicked out the YMCA. Boys and Girls Club closed. Yeah, a lot of things. But I would say those are things that I want to see more of and bring back. And I plan on eventually having something of my own. I'm not exactly sure yet, but I do want to have something of my own that shows another light to the world, that radiates other areas besides sports and rap or entertainment in general. Like, show people that they can be graphic designers, or show kids that they can be entrepreneurs, the right way, and businessmen the right way, and women, as opposed to just succumbing to the everyday norm, showing them that they can be more. And there's just a lack of that, and I would like to see more of that, but that comes with being the change that I want to see. So that's why I'm talking about it now. Hopefully people will hear this and take this the right way, and we will start more of that. But I feel like the impact of a positive community change, because I witnessed it firsthand. I would say, I had a positive community around me. Like I said before, my mom always told me it takes a village to raise a child, and we for sure had a village. And I'm not saying that I had all positives, positives and negatives in every, village, every community. And I was able to decipher, and maneuver in a real, in a positive way, I would say. But without seeing those different things, I wouldn't have known what to even do. I wouldn't have known anything about a lot of the things that I knew. Like, I had an uncle who did carpentry. I seen electricians do work. My dad always worked on cars, so I seen that. Then being in school and working with Michigan Department of Transportation, we seen different, did different tours, and I seen a lot of different areas and aspects of life that I could maneuver into and create lanes in. And I had coaches that showed me different ways of being a man, or like just different things, being exposed to a lot of different areas and being able to, okay, I like this, and I like that, and coming up with a tailored plan for yourself. So I feel like that's the impact that community had upon me, because I got to see so many different things and choose from, choose what I felt was good out of those things and take it and apply it to my everyday life. So I feel like having a solid community empowered me to be able to do whatever I want to do, because I've seen so much. And I just want the next generation of kids to be able to do the exact same thing. Now, there will be a lot of challenges involved with, creating a positive change for the community. There's always that group of people that's just kind of not with the positive movement, for one. And for two, there's always going to be conflicting, sides. One group may want to do this. One group may think something else is better for the community. But I feel like figuring out how to navigate those situations and having that like conflict resolution that me and Tori spoke on last episode is key. You have to be able to discuss without it being a problem. And I think that's the problem nowadays in our communities. We don't know how to disagree on something respectfully and have an actual conversation about it without bashing each other. And when you're building a community, that's what separates, that's what causes the divide. So I feel like when we're faced with these particular challenges and issues, or, it's best to take a step back and evaluate the entire situation. I've always been one to accept criticism, constructive criticism, and take it, and apply what I can, and, let go of what I can't. But we have to be able to be open to all opinions and ideas, especially in the community, because nobody's gonna all think the same. It's never gonna happen. There's gonna be somebody that felt like that isn't the right way to do a certain thing. That's not the right way to pick up the trash, or I found a better way to do this. Well, I don't think that's a better, so those things are going to happen. So maneuvering those things comes with that conflict resolution piece, being able to have respectful conversations and deal with each other in a respectful manner. Also, other challenges or obstacles Could be sometimes your own city or, you know, local groups won't support you, or there's a lot of times I think there is a lot like financial issues when it comes to community, groups or projects. But ways to overcome those obstacles are things like fundraising or finding investors or getting donations, things of that nature that will help you build this community or fund whatever you're trying to do, you know. But a lot of times, the such things get shut down. But I think that's where fundraising comes into play, because you don't have to go ask investors to invest in whatever you're trying to do. You go grind and get the money for yourself, essentially. But when you're trying to change a community, though, you got the people in those said communities that might frown upon it. You have to learn how to explain and show them why your way is the right way, or not necessarily just the way, but how it can positively affect the community as a whole. And find a way to get those particular people on board. You won't get everybody on board. Everybody's not going to support you, and I think a lot of times that's where we fall short. We think everybody should support what we're doing, and everybody's not going to support. You got to be able to accept that and just keep it pushing sometimes. So don't get hung up on the small things like that, because your vision is on a much grander scale. And also you got to maintain like the momentum. So like once you start and once you're picking up traction and doing said things, whether it be beautification, you got to keep that going. Keep it up. From planting flowers to cleaning up sidewalks and empty lots of grass. In Saginaw, everybody just throw their trash and wherever, anywhere. So like it could be just picking up the trash, like I said, planting flowers, trimming bushes, hedges, and just stuff of that nature. You got to keep it going, though. It has to keep happening, and people got to keep seeing it, and you build up that momentum and keep going and going, and then now you're noticed by everyone, which I spoke on earlier. If one person starts to see you, it's like a trickle effect. Everybody will want to pitch in or want to help in some way, shape, or form. And I feel like that is a way to keep your momentum going and turn it into something bigger than the start. That's how you form a community, is when you keep that momentum going and you show that consistency in what you're doing, and everyone starts to see it. And you go from just you to now you got 5 people, now you got 10, 15, 30 people with you, on a consistent basis. So I like to close this episode out with saying we are better together. We are better with a community of people pushing us forward. 100%, no doubt about it. You can't change my mind. I would like to invite you guys to tell me, what things that you would like to see changed in the community and how you could go about helping bring that change. One thing, like I spoke on earlier, that I would like to see changed in the community is I would like to see more of involvement with the youth, more pushing of the youth, and helping uplift them and showing them different routes and different ways to do, this life thing. Because it's a lot more than what we just see. And I noticed that growing up, and as I transitioned from being with my parents to being on my own, I seen that there's a lot more to life than what we see every single day. And what I can do to help bring that change is showing more kids through, or more people in general through this podcast, that there's more, to life than what we see, just by discussing it through this. You got to reach the kids through YouTube nowadays. Every child is on YouTube listening to something. And why not give them some information? Hopefully it gets in, It's a little hard nowadays. Everybody listening to NBA Youngboy all day on TV. But dropping tidbits of mindset things, into the pipeline to get through to the kids, as well as I want to do something in my hometown for the children. I ain't gonna say yet because people be stealing ideas, but I got some ideas. So that's what I plan to do. Like I said, I would love to hear some feedback from you guys. What is something that you would want to see changed in the community, and how will you go about helping bring upon that change? That should cause for some good feedback. Some things that I want y'all to take away from this is that we're stronger together. There's strength in numbers, and we need to show that strength, because there's much more that we can do when we come together and push for a change. There's a whole hell of a lot more that can come from that. So that is my main point for you guys today that I want to push home. If you don't take nothing from this, just take that. There's strength in numbers. We can do more together. So I appreciate you guys for rocking with me today, man. This episode can be found on all platforms: YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. So go check me out, man. Go follow me on IG at Radiant Thoughts _. It's going to be right here or somewhere. I figured out. Radiant Thoughts _, man. Share this out to everyone. Help me get the likes up, get the engagement up, man. Just put me out there, man. I appreciate it. Please subscribe, leave a comment, do whatever. Tell a friend to tell a friend. But it's your boy KP, and I'm